Look, I'm going to share a couple details with you about the day that Jesus was crucified. Look, if you're anything like me, this changed the way that I see the cross. Okay, so we're going to be looking at Matthew 27, Mark chapter 15, and Luke chapter 23. During this time, Jesus was standing on trial before the Roman governor, Pontius Pilate. And to give you a little bit of an idea about what was going on, you look at Matthew chapter 27, verse 15 through 17. It tells us, "Now it was the governor's custom at the festival to release a prisoner who was chosen by the crowd. At this time, there was a very well-known prisoner whose name was Barabbas. So when the crowd had finally gathered, Pilate asked, 'Which of the two would you like me to release to you, Barabbas or Jesus, who is called the Messiah?'" Now, to give you a little bit of an idea about who Barabbas was, we look at the book of Mark, chapter 15, verse 7 says, "A man called Barabbas who was in prison with the insurrectionists who had committed murder in the uprising." This wasn't a good dude. He was a well-known prisoner. He was guilty. This guy wasn't innocent. He wasn't framed. He wasn't misunderstood. But we look at the Bible and it makes you wonder, how did Jesus not end up being set free? Well, if you look at Matthew chapter 27, verse 20, it tells you, "But the chief priests and the elders had persuaded the crowd to ask for Barabbas and to have Jesus executed. So when the governor asked, 'Who would you like me to set free?' You guessed it. They said Barabbas." Imagine standing there in chains, knowing that you deserve death, and hearing your name called in that moment. Look, Matthew chapter 27, verse 26 tells us, "Then he released Barabbas to them, but he had Jesus flogged and handed him over to be crucified." Look, there's a lot going on here. Barabbas is released. Jesus is flogged. He's handed over to be crucified. And here's the moment that a lot of people miss. Barabbas walks away free, and Jesus walks towards the cross. The guilty man goes free, and the innocent man is condemned. Look, we all know this verse from Isaiah chapter 53, verse 5. "He was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was on him, and by his wounds we are healed." Barabbas deserved the cross, but Jesus took it. And here's the part that really gets us is we are Barabbas. As much as we want to deny that, for all have sinned and all fall short of the glory of God. We stand guilty. And yet 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 21 says, "God made him who had no sin to be sin for us, so that in him we might become the righteousness of God." I mean, that's the exchange. That's the gospel. Barabbas walked home scot-free, breathing air that he didn't earn, breathing air that he didn't deserve. And so do we. That's not fairness. That's grace. Look, you'll never see Matthew 27 the same way again.